what is going on. Today we're going to be checking out the town site of Loma Prieta, which is located in the forest of Nicene Marks. Nicene Marks is a state park that is a little bit north of Aptos, California. The land was donated in the 60s by an individual named Nicene Marks. But yeah, the Loma Prieta town site was a logging mill town that was founded in the 1800s and operated, or had people there into the 1920s, I believe. But it closed up around then, and then shortly after, I think there was like some case of like arson or something like that, and most of the buildings burned down. So to be honest, this is like a lot of my other videos where there's I'm filming a place where there's very little to kind of look at, but there is some stuff here. There's some like I think old railroad tracks and some like foundations and stuff like that. So all right, let's see what we find. So that's like an alternative chute right there, that I believe that was a separate railroad route. And it's interesting because there were actually like rail lines here back in the day to get the lumber out. Wait, is this Loma Prieta grade? Oh, is this it? I thought it was to the right. Alright, so I was originally thinking that this was the... Or not originally. Originally I was thinking that this was the way to go to the Loma Prieta town site, but then a map was making it seem like this alternative trail here was the correct way. But after looking back, I think this is the right way, and I think that there may have been a second railroad going up that way, but then I believe it originally went through this route on this kind of fire road right here. But after kind of walking through here a little bit, the one thing that I'm noticing is that like I don't think that there was like a singular little settlement here. I think there was just stuff going on kind of everywhere, pretty much, like little alternative railroads and stuff like that everywhere, small town sites. Yeah, just a lot going on. So I think there is some old growth stuff here, but it's crazy to think about back in maybe 1900 or so, that this was just completely empty of shrubbery, or trees rather. It's just completely like bare, because today it looks like it's totally thriving, but all these redwoods are pretty young, relatively speaking. So at the peak of Loma Prieta's prosperity, I guess you could say, it had a saloon, a post office, a hotel, a general store, and a number of other businesses. And that's the thing about a lot of, or most, logging and mill towns in the Santa Cruz Mountains. There were so many of them, ranging in size and whatnot, but as soon as the lumber kind of went away, they ran out of redwoods to chop down. The towns would close up and disappear for the most part. I know there are some examples like what's Boulder Creek. Yeah, Boulder Creek's what I'm thinking about. I believe that was originally a lumber town, but it's still there today. Obviously, lumber isn't its primary business anymore, but it still exists. But the same cannot be said for towns like Loma Prieta and Grabtown, another city I made a video about. Just kind of disappeared when the trees went away. So this is where the mill was located. Stopped being used in the 20s and then was burned down in the 40s. Yeah, it's hard to believe that there was like a giant building like that right here in an area like this. That's what's interesting about history, is kind of imagining the activity that was once going on. And the mill specifically, that was kind of like the lifeblood pretty much of the community, you know, chopping down those giant redwood logs into more, I guess, not palatable, but more, you know, smaller size planks and whatnot to be transported out of here. It says that there are some like timbers or something still there, but the shrubbery, a lot of it being poison oak, is kind of covering it up. So even if you wanted to, you couldn't really get in there. Yeah, it's funny though. I feel like there aren't very many people who are excited about ghost towns when there's nothing really to look at in particular. Oh, okay. You can actually see over there. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so like over there you can actually see some like cement foundation or something like that, and some iron, like, not bolts, but some sort of like foundation material. Oh, that's sweet. All right, spoke too soon. Look at that. So over there you can also see some of the charred foundation wood from the mill that was burned down in the 40s. So that's like 80 years old. Pretty cool. You can envision it a lot more from the side here. I think the sign should be over here. So this is interesting. So here, right, this is they call it the, what do they call it? The, I don't know, Loma Prieta Fire Road, something like that. But you can see, so this was the railroad. You can see areas like this which were cut in the 1800s to make way for the railroad, likely by, I think I read it was like Chinese labor or something like that. But that's freaking, look at that, jeez. This would have extended all the way to here. It was just cut back. All right, so on a old topo map that I was looking at, like about 1920s, it showed this area here having like a lot of buildings. I was thinking maybe it was like the town site of Loma Prieta, because on the 1919 topo map, the Loma Prieta town site wasn't mentioned, but it does show where like a lot of buildings were. The only map that shows Loma Prieta, I think there are two, they're from the 1880s, 1890s. But looking around here, although I don't think this is the Loma Prieta town site, you can see that there's like a lot of flat areas, spaces, and I believe that at least one of the, you know, one railroad did go through here and then go further up the mountain. Maybe this was some kind of stop here, but yeah, don't think this is the Loma Prieta town site. I think it's back a little bit more towards the other grade, I think. So yeah, just because you see buildings on a topo map doesn't mean that it's the thing you're looking for. That's my learning experience of the day. So we'll go back down and go to the area where I think the town site would have been. All right, so we just found something pretty cool. This is the first, besides like level surfaces, this is kind of the first, like, I guess, relic, I guess you could say. You can see these railroad boards right here, not tracks, but you can see the wooden boards right here where a railroad would have been going up through here. So like I was saying, there are many railroads that kind of weave through the mountains here, and I'm sure they changed paths often as the lumber, you know, ran out. And even though this isn't the Loma Prieta town site that I was looking for here, you can definitely, you know, see a piece of history here, which is super cool. So there was definitely a railroad that went through here. All right, guys, found a cool discovery. So from the trail over there, I was looking out into the brushes, or the brush, and then I was like, oh, that kind of looks like, I don't know, like right angles with wood, you know what I mean? So I'm like, oh, it looks like some kind of building, but You know, sometimes maybe it's just like a fallen tree or something like that, but decided to check it out. And yeah, there's definitely a building here at one point. So these flat areas that you see in places like this oftentimes had multiple buildings, obviously, because, you know, naturally there aren't going to be very many completely flat spaces, so they were likely graded at some point. But yeah, you can actually see some, what material is that? Like concrete or something? Like, not concrete, but doesn't seem like wood. But yeah, some old stuff here that hasn't been you know, like thrown away, scrapped, or burned down completely. What's this? Old? It's not that old. It's just like Canadian style beer. Black Label. Sometimes you see old beer cans or something like that, but that looks a little bit more modern. It's crazy though. This is just off of the side of a popular hiking trail in the Bay Area. In the Bay, there's like very few kind of places like this where there's just old shit kind of untouched, you know. So I really enjoy whenever I can find a place like this. There's some more boards over there. There's I don't know, there's probably some stuff over there as well too, but I'm very, very happy with this. This is better than what I was expecting. That's an old, right there, that's an old mattress frame, something like that. You can see the springs. Looks so tiny. Or couch maybe, actually. Can't tell, but very cool. I don't think this is the Loma Prieta site, but maybe like a office or residence of a worker at the mill or something like that. But yeah, in the Bay Area, there's just like everything's just been like scrubbed clean. That's like some sort of like old historic place. Like sometimes there's a marker or something like that, but there's very few places that haven't been completely like bulldozed. I feel like the Bay Area is so quick to just demolish old stuff to make way for, you know, like apartments, luxury apartments and stuff like that. So I mean, I don't think luxury apartments are coming to Nicene Marks. But yeah, you get my point. Definitely don't want to fall down there. It's a long way down. Man, this is really pretty. Okay, that looks like old growth, these two. And that, jeez. Yeah, these two look huge. Oh my gosh. Right?
No.
Really? I feel like these look massive compared to the other ones. Like those are a lot smaller. The bark on that one looks different too. Or those two. All right, this is a great sign right here. I commend the group that put this panel up here. Maybe, oh, it's just California State Parks. Shout out California State Parks for putting this up. I think more of these should be put up at, you know, different historic locations. But so when I originally saw this online, the Porterhouse site, I thought it was just a random house that was associated with some other community, but then it was actually part of the Loma Prieta town site. So you can see there's probably a ton of glare, but the railroad would have ran right along here, this way, and there were a number of houses alongside it, including the porterhouse. And the one thing that's very striking about this, the residences about Loma Prieta, is that they are pretty much like legit houses that, you know, if you go to any old town and you see houses built in the late 1800s that are still standing, they were likely built with pretty decent quality. And that house, the porterhouse, looks like one of those pretty much. It doesn't look like a shack that was hastily put up. It actually looks like a nicely constructed house that was out here, and it's hard to imagine because you're just in all this nature with no buildings whatsoever. But this was the Loma Prieta town site, and we'll see if there's any other foundations or anything to check out. But some old bricks here, and some cable. The bricks were likely put here by somebody wanting to have it close to the sign, which I appreciate. So further up this way, there is another community historic town site thing called Bridge Creek. There may be some remnants stuff, you know, still standing from that community, but we'll save that for another day. But I did see online about the I think somebody posted, I don't know if there's like another video online about Loma Prieta, but somebody posted something like a blog about it, and they mentioned Bridge Creek, and I wasn't sure if it was you know, connected to Loma Prieta or something else, but it does seem to be like a different community, but further up the way. And as I mentioned, there were so many different like lumber companies, or not, maybe it was like similar companies or whatever. Railroad, cool. Some timbers from the railroad, very cool. But yeah, a lot of different railroads coming out here to get to different gulches and whatnot to get the lumber out of here. From the railroad, not rails, but the wood is still there. Very cool. Hard to imagine a railroad coming through here. Okay guys, so this is a perfect example of an old growth redwood right here. Look how massive this thing is. This is like my hydro flask here. Giant hydro flask, right? Try to get it to stand. Come on, stay. Okay. Look at that. Freaking massive. And then you can see this circle of redwoods right here. I've seen a lot of people online being like, is it paranormal? Why is there a circle of redwoods? So when a giant redwood like this dies, I don't know like the exact like science behind it, but redwoods will then grow in a circle around the original trunk, and sometimes the trunk isn't even there. It'll just be like a circle with nothing in the middle. So yeah, that's the reason for that. But looking over here, you can see how, so the railroad would have been down there, going through that way, but then you can see how there's areas cut out like this from the hillside. So there for sure was some kind of building here at some point. And looking this way, there's a lot more of like that kind of thing going on. So the town was likely just right through here pretty much, and I don't think there's really anything left. So compared to that other site where I found the boards and the remnants over there, I don't think there would be anything like that really here at the Loma Prieta town site, because it's a lot older than that other area. All right, so as I'm walking kind of by or back south from the porterhouse, I think this kind of area to the left was the town site of Loma Prieta, and I'd go in there and kind of stomp around to see if I could find anything, but there's a ton of poison oak and whatnot, so, and I'm not prepared. So I think we'll just wrap the video up there. But yeah, thank you for watching. I know there wasn't a whole lot of stuff to check out with this one, but still interesting nonetheless. nonetheless. Thanks for watching. Peace.